So a report has come out. That makes it sound like scandalous. Or someone has released a report showing that streaming subscribers don't mind ads interspersing the content that they watch. So this report is published by Tubi, which is owned by Fox Corp, and Harris Poll. Obviously, Tubi has a vested interest in this because they are a free-to-stream, ad-based streaming service. And, you know, them kind of sponsoring this report is obviously in their best interest. The report surveyed about 2,500 adults who stream at least 1 hour per week. And here are some of the key findings. So about 56% of viewers stream between 1 to 3 hours in a sitting, with 40% binging for more than 3 hours. So it's a pretty, streaming has really become a key part of I don't know what you would call it, but just like that period when you come home from work and you're fried and you just want to relax, throw on streaming, right? It's become a lot more common. Obviously, I mean, I'm not the first person to say this isn't new. Subscribers, but another key finding here, subscribers prefer options in terms of their different streaming services, which I find surprising, actually. I would be of the mind that people would rather, in a perfect, like, they long for the days of Netflix where it was like more or less everything you could ever want to watch is either on Netflix or Prime Video or maybe Hulu, right? But it seems here that people on average have about 4 to 5 different streaming services. But that, I guess that also makes sense with me. We have about that many. We technically have more, but I don't pay for them all. Some of them like our family or whatever. But I'm trying to think about it. We probably have at least 4 or 5, if not maybe 6 or 7. But I wish it was all in one place. But I guess that's just the reality of the situation. Subscribers spend more on streaming than gas. They report spending about $120 a month on streaming versus $112 a month on gas. So just a little bit more expensive there. And also this stat here, which I find very interesting. 71% of Gen Z or millennials canceled streaming subscriptions, and they cited specifically price hikes. We talked about this last week. Netflix is most likely going to see another price hike this year. Again, as streaming services transition from a strategy based in subscriber growth and moving to one more based in profitability. And this is something I've been interested in because there is this kind of balance between, if you raise your prices, you're going to make more money per person, but you're going to have people drop off who just say, I don't want to pay for this anymore. We've been seeing the price hikes seem to have worked a little bit. So what this tells me is that a lot of people were just like, screw it, I'm just going to bail. I don't want to pay this extra amount of money. But not enough people did that to hurt them. That ultimately they lost subscribers, but they're making more money in the month to month, right? So I find that very interesting. But then the big takeaway here, I think, is that the majority of subscribers are okay with ads, which feels really antithetical. If you consider, again, the origins of streaming, which had many kind of selling points, but one of them, I feel at least personally, was an ad-free experience, those early days of Netflix. But it seems like people are mostly okay with it if it lowers prices, right? If it, makes the experience more cost-effective for them, they don't mind sitting through a couple minutes of ads every 15 minutes or whatever it might be, right? This is contrasted by Prime Video, forcing an ad tier. So I have a whole video on this, which you go check out. But essentially, Prime Video, a lot of these services had their basic plan, and then they introduced a cheaper ad plan. What Prime Video did was basically everyone who was paying the cheapest amount, Prime just said to them, okay, you guys are going to have to watch ads now. And if you want an ad-free experience, you have to pay extra. But now a lawsuit has been brought because some people paid for like a year of Prime Video. So essentially they're saying that they paid for a product they're no longer getting, right? So that's like ideally not how you do it, but people are interested in the idea of like, okay, I'm normally paying $10 a month for Netflix. Oh, but there's a $7, and I'm making all these numbers up, by the way. Oh, but there's a $7 monthly plan, but I have to watch ads. Oh, I'll do that. That I don't mind that. If I save $3 a month, that's $48 a year, right? Again, not only people okay with ads, but specifically 62%, so about 2/3, preferred free ad-supported streaming. Things like Tubi or Freevee, or not quite in the same conversation, but something like YouTube, and not YouTube TV, but just YouTube, like something like a video like this, where essentially it's free, but you're paying with your eyeballs. You're paying because YouTube then sells your attention to someone to sell ads, right? Also, we have another interesting note here that younger audiences are increasingly watching live sports programming via streaming as opposed to cable. So again, that's more opportunities for ads, and people are already used to seeing ads, as opposed to you're trying to get people who have been used to ad-free streaming for years, trying to get them comfortable with ads. Sports streaming is going to be so much easier to get people to watch it even with ads because they're used to it, right? It's been a mostly cable experience with ads. So why is the ad-supporting streaming model important, right? Like I said before, companies are a lot more concerned now with actual profitability as opposed to just like subscriber growth at whatever cost. Another thing, though, is that this is a growing audience, right, as compared to the shrinking cable audience. So there are more and more people every day to potentially be seeing these ads, and that's good for business. And then not only that, the ads, because it's able to, these apps are able to look at your data, for better or for worse, look at your data, figure out kind of based off your viewing, preferences, what kind of person you are, what things you might be interested in. So the ads can be way more targeted, right, as opposed to cable. It really is they're just going to show it to everybody and hope it kind of, inspire someone to look into that product, right? This can be way more targeted, which is a lot more bang for your buck if you're someone who wants to advertise something on Tubi, right? And I've talked a lot on this weekly show. I feel like I talk about it every week, but the development of what streaming is going to become in the next, even just a couple of years, is going to be a really interesting story to kind of track, right? And it's, it could be possible that this, ads are way more commonplace in streaming. And I kind of see that, obviously there could be variations of this, but, I could see a future where essentially there are 3 basic tiers. You can use this for free, this service for free, but you have to watch ads. There could be then a paid version that still has ads, but less ads. So maybe if you have a commercial break every, 15 minutes, maybe it's every 30 minutes or every hour, right? Or whatever it is. And then a third most expensive tier could be you pay more, but you have an ad-free experience. So the people who, really don't want ads and have that extra, disposable income could then pay for it, right? That kind of feels like a healthy breakdown where, again, you're giving people the options. And I think that's what made people like streaming in the first place. Among all the selling the factors that made people want to use it is the fact you gave you options. In the original sense, it gave you options in terms of when you could watch. But now it could potentially, another option that streaming could give consumers is, like, what kind of experience do you want and what are you willing to pay for to have that experience, So again, I think this is an interesting, again, nothing in this report is particularly revelatory, but again, I think just reinforces just general trends that are going to continue to develop.